John, you have some questions for us?
I sure do. Would you like to get to some questions here, guys?
Yeah.
First question, what should the NCAA do about Michigan if they find the signal cheating or stealing is true? This comes from Dave in East Lansing, Michigan. Obviously a Spartan fan, obviously.
Of course it does.
Yeah, I
don't think there's any true or not true. It's true. I mean, if they found out that the fellow that's involved in this purchased 30-some tickets over the last couple of years, some of them in his own name. But the whole key to that is the NCAA outlawed in-person scouting back in the 90s. So the coaches know that the only way you can scout now is on tape. You cannot go and do anything future like that.
Do you want to get in?
So, your Michigan people are saying this, that, and the other. Of course, Michigan State people they're ready to hang him. Ohio State people are ready to hang him because they think this is something. The whole key I'm looking at this heck is basically, we talked about things like last week, they got caught. They're doing something everybody's doing. Yeah, they got caught.
Well, how about Deflategate? Things like that.
They got caught.
I mean, you take a little air out of the football, blah, blah, blah. And the staffer, I believe, is being punished, and maybe he's being fired. I don't know. But probably the time for Jim Harbaugh to make the move to the NFL.
Yeah, it may be. That may be enough.
That might put him over the edge. But Jim Harbaugh, if he goes to the NFL, he's going to the Chi-Town Bears, to be honest with you. Captain comeback, started with the Bears, went to the Colts, had a nice career with the Colts. And I think the Bears are going to have to give him a little bit of power to do some things with the general manager and be able to maybe have some input on on the personnel decisions.
Sure.
But I mean, people have been doing so many things for years, and if it's the whole thing about getting caught. I guess
you get caught. I think we've got a caller.
We do actually. This is our baseball guru who's called in from Texas.
Texas.
You know who this might be, Coach?
Yeah, I think it's a relative of mine. I think.
Yep.
Hey,
by one of your Texas friends.
Hey, Pilot Boy, what's up?
Do I count as one of your Texas friends?
It's going to happen. You're my one Texas friend. Tell me about. Okay, give me the short version on your Ohio State version of the Michigan scandal here.
Death penalty.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
SMU did much less and got more severe of a punishment.
You and I talked earlier. Think about the sidelines. You see it at every game. You see the coaches are radioing in plays. They've got their hands over there. They got their clipboard over their face so the lip readers can't read them. They've got big signs or pieces of plywood or something behind them so people in the bleachers can't see the signs they're holding up. The whole key is they can't find a producer or an endorsement that's approved by the NCAA so they can radio calls in to the quarterback like the NFL does. As soon as they can do that, then, and again, it's going to be which teams can do that, because some of the teams won't be able to afford it. But that's going to be one of the next steps. Pardon me?
That's why that rule exists in the first place, right?
It's an affordability thing.
Well, here's the deal. It's not going to be. Unless all schools can do it, then they won't. Put it out there for just 20 schools to do. Unless all schools can do it, then it won't be a rule. And it's old.
100%.
So it's old school, man. People
have been stealing signs for years. It's just like stealing the third base coach's signs.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a bunt. That's why he's got to have an indicator.
No, but I mean, if you're
I have a story about that at some point.
If you're stupid and your signs are real simple, then good for someone stealing them. What's your story, man?
Yeah, exactly. Well, talk to me about baseball real quick. Give me your opinion about what's going to happen here in the next couple hours down there in.
I thought somebody had a story.
Scotty had a story.
I've got a story about sign stealing.
Or no, John had a story.
If I can interact, I remember when Dave Reed, who was an assistant coach to the legendary Ken Schreiber at LaPorte, they had to come up with all the signs that they used for everything in the game. Well, he retired. He came up in the radio booth with me the year after he retired, And every time he would see a sign or something of that nature, Ken Schreiber found out about it. Had to change all of his signs because Reed was telling the sign on the radio, and there are people listening to the game in the stands or wherever. They were going to know what that pitch was going to be or what the the play that was called offensively. And Schreiber got very angry with Reed and had to change his entire signs because of that, because Reed knew everything.
Yeah, but it does. I mean, it didn't surprise me that Schreiber just didn't go up to the radio booth and beat the crap out of Reed, man. Because
I think he did it out of respect to me, but I think it happened after.
Well, I think that some of that stuff it's just a respect thing,
right?
You know, I mean, he's not the first coach to leave. And when coaches leave, maybe it's time to change your signs anyway.
Oh yeah, and think about how much that goes on.
Yeah.
So, Scott, tell me a little bit about
man. Who's winning this game, Scott?
Who's going to win tonight?
You know, I want to say the Rangers.
Well, yeah.
Just because the Astros play like crap at home.
Well, you still thinking they're banging trash can lids in the dugout too. So.
No, that's all over.
In Dusty, we trust him, man. Come on.
Can Max Scherzer last longer than?
Dusty was acting like a petulant little kid on Friday with that ejection.
Oh dear. Hey. Can Max Scherzer? That's a 20-something talking about Dusty. Can Max Scherzer last longer than 2 or 3 innings tonight?
No.
I think if he can get through their lineup once and give it over to Andrew Heaney or Ding Dunning out of the bullpen,
okay,
I think they have a chance.
So get him through the rotation one time.
Yeah, but the key to the game for the Rangers has to be the top of the order. Marcus Semien got on base a few times yesterday, and Corey Seager's been hitting weak pop-ups lately, but he got a barrel on a couple of them, and he hit one 108 off the bat yesterday, but hit it right at Jose Abreu.
Well, and I stayed and watched the top of the 9th last night when the guy came up. They had said he'd struck out 4 times, and the next pitch he plants it in left field.
Yeah, he was going for the platinum sombrero.
Yeah. So he ends up with a grand slam at the top of the
Rangers is getting on base. The top of the order has to get them in.
Yeah, well,
if you have 6, 7, 8, 9 actually doing something, and 1 and 2 can't do anything,
yeah,
I mean, you have a problem.
Well, that's what they're talking about with the Phillies right now. They've got their 8 and 9 hitters are getting people on get on base, and then you've got Schwarber. Leading off with people on base second time around. So same thing.
Yeah, but here's the deal with Schwarber. He's below the Mendoza line, but it's all about power, man.
Yeah.
It's all about power.
45 home runs.
Yeah, but he's below the Mendoza line and strikes out a lot. I mean, his on base percentage is okay because he walks a little bit, but so it makes you think. Pete Alonso hit .218 this year and had 46 bombs. So here's the deal. I mean, is that okay to hit .218 as long as you got 46 bombs and 85 ribbies?
They've got him leading off.
Garcia went 1 for 5 yesterday.
Yeah, he went 1 for 5, and everybody thinks he's a genius. He hits a grand slam in the 9th inning.
No, I know. Baseball.
I know.
Baseball is a really, really difficult sport. I mean, because that's what Schwarber was doing with the Cubs at the end of his tenure, striking out, hitting .210 and hitting 30 bombs. And when they talked about on base percentage, when they talked about killing a rally, when they talked about all those things, they took 30 bombs out of the equation and said it wasn't good enough. And now again, he's playing in a lineup where he's almost going to the World Series for the 2nd straight year.
I agree. So that'll happen. Scott, thanks. We're gonna.
Yep.
Thanks, Scotty.
Yep. Here's hoping the Rangers can win and send Houston to Cancun and send Jose Altuve back to the North Pole with all the other elves.
Oh, dear.
Oh, man. Johnny, give us another question, man, on that one.
Wow.
That's what you're hearing on the radio stations down in Dallas right now.
Yeah, they're going to go stream this, and that's going to not be good. Who are some of your guys' favorites to do well in local girls basketball? Because obviously girls basketball is now in their 2nd week of practice scrimmages this week. Season opens next week. This comes from Troy in South Bend.
Well, obviously Penn is. I mean, they have a great program. Christie has done a great job.
And we're going to have her on here in another week or two. But they should be a year older. Hopefully, they'll be a year better.
Mishawaka Marion had a great year. Probably the last 4 or 5 years, lost everybody. So Mike Bauer's now the head coach at Mishawaka Marion.
They'll be in a rebuild.
They'll be in a rebuild for quite a few years. Mishawaka will be in a rebuild. I'm not really sure. Once you start talking about the Northern Lakes Conference, you're always talking about Northwood. You're talking about Warsaw.
Northridge supposed to be pretty good again.
Always have good girls programs. Well, when you're talking about South Bend, I mean, how can you not mention?
You've got to go to the west side of town. Yeah, and they're playing. Are they 3A?
They're playing 3A ball.
3A ball. So I mean, they're going to be able to be successful at 3A. I don't think they'll be as good as they've been the last couple of years. But I still think once they get the 3A tournament, they'll do fine.
Yeah.
But I'm a week early. I don't know that much about the girls right now. They're at practice. They
are at practice, and
like you said, they have scrimmages this week, and then games will start for them next week. And you've got some basketball coming up.
Yeah, I'm doing a doubleheader on Saturday at IUSB, girls and men's doubleheader. So I start my college basketball.
Yeah, NAIA starts around Halloween, right?
Yep. John, fire another one off at us.
Who is now the leading Heisman contender that USC and Caleb Williams has lost 2 in a row? And there's a supplemental question: does character need to be a part of this instead of just what's on the field? Some of the off the field antics be a part of the Heisman presentation as well.
No. I tell you, we found this out this summer, talking to Shaq Van out west, and his name's at the top of the list right now is Michael Penix from Washington. He's at the top of the list. I mean, that list seems to change every week, but, I looked some stuff up today. They got Dylan Gabriel, quarterback at Oklahoma, Jaden Daniel at LSU, J.J. McCarthy at Michigan. Is right there, and then Drake May from North Carolina are some of the names that we're seeing right now. I have not seen USC or anything like that for right now.
Well, I think a lot of it's obviously relates to how your team's doing.
Yeah, these guys have all won games recently, and they've been on TV.
And Caleb Williams is lost his last 2 games, and obviously that Notre Dame game did nothing for his resume. Drake May loses a game this past weekend to Virginia, so I don't know how the losses affects the Heisman candidacy. The guy from Oklahoma really does look good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching him.
He had a good game at the Cotton Bowl a couple of weeks ago in that Texas OU game. He looked really well. What else, John? You got any more?
We got one more.
Okay.
Baseball question kind of touched on this, but who makes the World Series? Who wins it all and gets to host the trophy? And you cannot use Scott's answer. And this is not from Scott.
I had mentioned a week ago that I thought both series would go 6 or 7 games, which is true. I really don't care who wins. I'm kind of looking forward to that. I mean, I'm going to sit there on the fence and just kind of watch them. I'm not a fan of any of the 4 teams. I'm still thinking right now, I think the winner of the Texas Houston series will be the World Series champion. But again, I could be wrong on that too.
I don't have a dog in the fight, but I like the way Philadelphia's lineup is put together. And Trey Turner was a big addition to that lineup as shortstop, and he's now hitting for probably the first 75% of the season. He didn't hit like he was capable, but at the end of the season he came on and hit and scored runs and drove runs in and hit a long ball. And so his acquisition is looking a lot better as the Phillies go on here. But at the end of the day, the Diamondbacks are a good baseball team. If it goes to a Game 7,
it'd be Game 7 tomorrow night.
And Zach Gallen pitches for Arizona, that's a tough deal for the Phillies.
I agree.
But I like the Phillies. I like their lineup, man. I like their lineup.
John, let me go over some high school football. We're into week number 2, and the big boys get to play this week. Looking through some of the games, especially here locally. Penn's a week away. Penn plays Elkhart this week. They beat them by 20 a couple weeks ago, and I think next week they're going to have probably a rematch with Carroll and Penn. We'll talk more about that next week.
Yeah, so Penn will certainly beat Elkhart, and Fort Wayne Carroll is a good high school football team.
Yeah, sectional 5, you've got Brownsburg and Ben Davis, number 1 and number 3, playing each other. That should be a great game. It's at Ben Davis. You've got Lawrence Central, Lawrence North playing each other. You got Hamilton Southeastern's got to go up to Fort Wayne to play a 1-8 Northrop team. You've got Center Grove, who's number 2, playing Franklin Central. Class 5A, up here in our area, Michigan City and Valpo are both favored to win. Locally, Mishawaka plays at Goshen. That should be a walk.
Bing, bing, bing,
Mishawaka.
Yeah,
a week from now, we got Mishawaka Concord.
Bing, bing, bing. It's at Concord. That's the only positive for Concord.
The big game in 5A is going to be Bloomington South and Bloomington North. You know, some of the people got them number 1 and number 2 in the state, and they have to play each other in the very first round of the 5A sectional. So that'll be a fun one down in the Bloomington area. Up here in 4A, New Prairie won a big game last week. They've got to go down to KV. More than likely, they're going to play Culver Military Academy a week from now.
Which those 2 games, I mean, they mean something against KV and against CMA, but those
are trap games.
Yeah, but what New Prairie has played into already this year, those are going to be straight up wins for New Prairie.
Yeah, is there such a thing as a trap game in the tournament? We're a week away from a Northwood or North Ridge rematch, which should be a fun one. The game over in Fort Wayne area, East Noble and Leo are both 8-2. That should be a good game. Up here locally in 2A, Rochester and Lafayette Central Catholic play. Bremen and LaVille are a week away from playing each other. Brownstown and Triton Central down south should be a good game. Both of them are 9-1. And we're a week away from North Judson and Triton having a rematch in 1A. So we've got some good football coming up. John, where are you going to be this coming week?
John will be against Washington, against Northwood.
No, I will not.
Good for you.
Do we have a team going there?
We do have a team going to Washington Northwood because they're being penalized for some comments that were made. I will be at Intera Field in Middlebury. I've got Northridge Wallace C Friday night.
So he's going to Northridge. Northridge's got a nice press conference.
I feel bad for you anyway, because that won't be a game.
Well, here
I don't count. Northridge will win, but don't count Wallace C out yet.
And I get to go to KV for the New Prairie. I got about a 2-hour drive into some place.
Hey, I did that last Friday. It's your turn.
How do you? I mean, it's like I'm gonna have to get a road map out. I haven't been to Wheatland in like 25 years. I hope it's still there.
Why don't you just ride with Kenny?
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Because Kenny leaves at noon for an 8 o'clock ball game.
Good for Kenny. I love
Kenny. Kenny's got to.
That's called prep, right? Heck,
no, that's called the hometown boys. Got to get down there in time for the booster.
That's called a colonoscopy prep.
Yes. But yeah, I've got to go find out where Highway 10 and 39 meet or something like that. I don't even know what 49.
Well, you guys call some football games.
You're going to be inside doing basketball.
I'll call a basketball game and get my pipes ready and my mind ready. And if I struggle a little bit, Magic Mind will come right to the rescue. We have great sponsors. The Black Sedan Band, Tony Letcher, Frick's Driving.
You say we apologize for the earlier audio stuff.
We got
the audio fixes.
Good. It's fixed.
So the early part, we'll get that fixed.
We'll get it fixed.
And next week, we talk about next week, and we'll get our sponsors finished up. Next week, we won't be here. You will find us on YouTube Live, and we'll be in my basement. Is that right?
Yep.
We'll be in my basement.
And we will
John's got stuff going on.
I got stuff going on, but
we'll have a link.
We'll also link it to Broadcast Sport.
Yeah, so we can find that. But we'll be 7 o'clock. We'll be in my basement with the 3 TVs, and hopefully we'll be watching maybe game 1 or 2 of the World Series. I'm guessing by then. So we do appreciate our sponsors tonight. Again, we're at Bar Louie, and we're getting ready to have our dinner tonight. We appreciate everything they do for us tonight. And appreciate you people tuning in. I think we mentioned last week we had our biggest crowd on here, and hopefully people will keep tuning in. Thank you.
And that will wrap up this week's edition of Coach's Corner with Heck and King. Tonight's show has been brought to you by the Black Sedan Band. Also our good friends at Jim Carpenter and Andy Kern of Weichert Realty. Tony Letcher of Health Markets. Hahn Funeral Home, and Kaurich Chiropractic. You can check out the archive at broadcastsport.net, Apple Music, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at IND Coaches Corner. Join us again next week for another edition of Coaches Corner right here on broadcastsport.net. So long.